Authority forecast from meteorologist Nakandra Norwood.
It is a cold day out there. If you've been waiting for it, finally, the winds this morning, the chill. Today was a winter day for us, and we're going to see another one going into your day on Tuesday. And this is where we deal with our freeze. So if you haven't prepared yet, tonight is the night that you need to be ready to see those frigid temperatures taking over. But it's just for one night. It's only one night. Here we're looking at the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network camera, looking out at the Gulf. And you notice the waves aren't really moving because that wind's coming in another direction. It is coming out of the north, pushing across the region. You see here, like over the lakefront, that's where you got the waves splashing. You had 31-mile-per-hour gusts out in Kenner, 24 at Slidell, 24 at Belle Chase. Those gusts are going to stay elevated through the afternoon and the early part of the evening even, and then notice things calm down a whole lot here right around daybreak. That is where we expect to see those frigid conditions coming in. So the 28, you've been hearing about that. And you know, that's right on the cusp of hard freeze. We don't have any issues with pipes because it's only going to touch that for a little bit and then bounce right back. You have to have temperatures really below that for several hours before you start having problems with pipes. And then look at the quick rebound. By the end of the week, back in the 50s. But before then, we got the freezing conditions that are going to stretch all the way down through the river parishes, into the bayou, northern Lafourche, Terrebonne. Unless you're really right on the water, you need to be prepared. You got to be right on the lake or right on the Gulf for us to see temperatures not risking your plants and, you know, not causing any issues for that kind of thing. So we're going with 38 in the city, but again, remember, the airport gets that influence. So you start getting away from the lake, then you're going to get cooler, especially West Bank. You need to be prepared for that freeze for your plants or the frost for your plants where you're going to have those issues stretching down into Belle Chase. Even I would say parts of Metairie and Kenner, you know, you may have that little bubble where you get the cold air to settle in and you don't get as much of the lake influence. So be prepared and ready for that here as we go through the overnight. Here's where you're going to touch those upper 20s. You get more inland into Washington Parish, Tangipahoa in particular. People, pets, and plants. That's what we're worrying about and taking care of for your overnight tonight. Pipes, not a concern. And then the rest of the week, I mean, it's back to at least fall, maybe early fall. We're going to look at temperatures back in the upper 70s. You know, it was downright hot on Saturday. I don't think we're quite there, but you're definitely going to be back above long-term averages or long-term averages for highs, typically in the 70s. Not there today, though. Comfortable in your sweaters and your boots. We have freeze warnings all across the southeast. The advisory is heading on down through Florida. And here's how it's playing out. We've got that spin that's up here across the Great Lakes region. That's been allowing that cold air to just slide all the way south out of Canada. We have that line. This was our lake effect snow early this morning that came through Chicago. Now, none of those issues out there. That's why we went ahead and got our camera back in here. We were showing you snow on the beam earlier. Now we're seeing that moving on and pushing into parts of Michigan and Indiana. They're going to see the snow now with that cold air coming across the warm waters of Lake Michigan. We get our gasp of cold tonight, and then this whole thing moves on. We got high pressure building back here to the west. That's going to settle back in, and that's going to let us get back into the warmth. But don't get too comfortable. Look, there's cold building again up here at the Alaskan-Canadian border. This front pulled the air down here from up near the poles. The next one might knock this cold air out of that Alaskan-Canadian border and push it on south. So there's more to come. It's, you know, we're just getting started early in the season, but right now it's going to be a quick fix. We get the frigid air out of here through the day tomorrow, and then we start warming back up. We're going to get above normal temperatures back in place by the time we get to the end of the week. But getting through tonight first, those clear skies, the winds moving on, the winds dying down overnight, that's going to let our temperatures get pretty close to where dew points are. This morning, you saw plenty of 30s, 37 out of Bogalusa and Slidell. We're going to go through that process again, maybe making it happen just a little bit earlier in the chilly afternoon out there. 50s right now. Look at where our dew points are. This is some dry air that we are working with, but the winds helping us out early at least. And That's why we don't expect to see temperatures falling that much tonight. Also, with the winds and the dry, red flag warnings just about everywhere. Don't burn outside if you can avoid it. That can lead to, we had wildfires. Remember the one we had a couple weeks ago over there around Pearl River. So a lot happening. Veterans Day tomorrow. We got an event outside. You want to bundle up for that too.
Yeah, a lot going on, but it's a little bit of everything because the warmth is coming back if you don't like the cold.
Yeah, and even a storm threat maybe by Sunday. So that's a long way off. We'll break that down later in the week.
Okay, thank you.